it is time for another reading vlog. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. Hi, my name is Liz. In today's video, we are going to be continuing on with the finishing series that I'm in the middle of. I don't know how to make that sound better. But you get the gist. I'm going to be continuing series that I'm in the middle of. I'm going to be trying to complete some if I can, or at least just continue some that I'm in the middle of. Because if you're like me, you start a series, which happens like every single month I start a new series, and not all of the books are out yet. So then the next book comes out in that series and you buy it because you're like, oh, I really enjoyed that for the first book. I want to continue that series and see what happens. But then you don't jump back in right away because you have other books that you're in the middle of, or other standalones, or like, I don't know, jumping into a series that you've already started in your head sometimes is a little intimidating because it feels like you either forgot a lot of information or yeah, that's pretty much it. At least that's for me, especially since a lot of these series are fantasy series and they can sometimes kind of blur in my brain. The thought of having to reread the first book and then having to read the new book, it just seems like a lot to commit to whenever I would rather just read a brand new book that I know nothing about. But I have an entire shelf, this whole bottom shelf on my TBR cart are series that I'm in the middle of, and or series period that I need to start, and I really want to try to dwindle that down. I would like to get to the point where I can read the newer books in the series as they come out, but we're not there yet. In today's video, I'm going to be reading, I'm gonna say 3 different books that are in series and hopefully completing a couple, or at least just continuing. The first one, I actually started it last night. That is A Monsoon Rising by Thea Guanzon. I don't know how to say her name. The first book is Hurricane Wars. I read this last summer and I really enjoyed it. I ended up giving it like 4 or 4.5 stars, somewhere in there. I really loved the world that we were in. I loved her 2 main characters and everything about it. Clearly, I need to read this. This is also on my summer TBR, so that is really nice as well. I started reading this last night and I got, I want to say like a third into it. Like the way this world took no time at all for me to jump right back in and suck me in. Like I feel like as soon as I started reading this last night, I was hooked. This world is set in like a Southeast Asia inspired world, and basically our 2 main characters, they're on opposite sides of this war. The main guy character is the Night Emperor, and he is what's known as a shadow something, so he can control shadows. And then our main girl character, she is a light weaver, so they're like opposite sides of the same coin. They both are very powerful, and she is a part of this rebel group that's trying to take down this Night Emperor. What's really interesting about this world and this war that they're in, each side they have these things called storm ships, and they kind of are exactly what they sound like. And that's really all I'm gonna say because I don't want to spoil things from the first book. So that's really all I can say without giving too much away. I want to try to get another big chunk done today because I have a half day at work. So this is kind of the best time for me to get a lot of reading done. I will try to give you guys updates when I have them. Milo Murphy, want to say hi? It is the next day. I am really close to finishing. I have less than 100 pages. I think I have like 70 or 80 left. I'm loving this book. I did a little research and it turns out it's not a duology. There will be a 3rd book. This will be a trilogy, unfortunately. So I'm kind of afraid to finish it because I know it's gonna end in a cliffhanger. I just know it. I will say that there is not a ton of plot in this one. I feel like it's a lot of just them training together and them kind of like figuring out their feelings for each other in this one, rather than there being like a ton of action or anything like that. First book had a lot more of the war aspects of this world in it, and I'm assuming that the 3rd one will as well. This one is definitely more of like the middle book, just showing them like developing feelings, but I'm eating it up. I am loving this couple. I'm gonna be really sad when this book ends in a cliffhanger. My goal is to finish this tonight when I get home from work, and then I can give like my final rating on this one. Hopefully start the next book for this video. I'm excited to see what happens with our characters, but at the same time I'm terrified. I have like 50 pages. This is gonna break me and I'm not looking forward to it. Hi. But I have to know what happens. Miss Thea, who gave you the right? I don't care if you wrote it. You're not allowed to end your book like that. I'm a little angry right now, and I'm not really in the mood to read anything else, unfortunately. I'm gonna need a night to decompress from this book. I'm finally having my first Chick-fil-A peach shake of the summer, and it's already July. That's criminal. I was able to take a night to decompress, really think about this book and what I wanted to rate it. Final thoughts. I think this book was definitely written as a filler book. It is going to be a trilogy. I have no clue when the third book is supposed to come out. There was this thing at the end of book one that our characters are working for. You have to create this alliance in order to accomplish a specific goal that's mutually beneficial. Pretty much this entire book was leading up to that thing, and it just felt like just them training and also them being political figures and also them working on their relationship. I really enjoyed watching how far our characters have come by the end of this book. I feel like the pacing made sense because they both were struggling with a lot of internal battle. She's my enemy, he's my enemy, I'm gonna have to betray him at some point, like that kind of thing. And I thought that part was done really well, like the tension, the yearning, while also like dealing with some like guilt. I'm gonna settle on a 4-star for this one though. Like I said, not a lot happened with the plot. There's this thing that we were working towards at the very end as like our climax in this book, and like we got there, but then like with the way things were left off, I don't understand why this thing that we were leading up to wasn't like the end of this series. I get it. I actually do get why there's gonna be a third book, and I'm excited for it. Trust me, I'm very, very excited about the third book. I don't know, it could have been a duology, but you know, here we are. Also, the writing in this world that we're in, I really enjoyed it. This is honestly a really great fantasy series for the summertime because majority of this book does take place on like these islands and like the beach, and so it just gave me like coastal vibes the entire time, which I really enjoyed. And today we're gonna start our next book for this video, and that is gonna be A Reign of Rose by Kate Golden. And she wrote A Dawn of Onyx, which I read at the beginning of last year. This is the third and final book in this trilogy, and I'm so excited because that means I'll be finished with it. I mean, sad also because I really love this world that we're in and our characters, but I'm also really excited to check off another series off of my never-ending list of series that I'm in the middle of. I can't say too much about what this one's about because of spoilers. The first book, our main character, she is a healer, and she has this magic and she's able to heal. She can heal almost anything. The beginning of book one, her brother ends up getting arrested and she trades places with him, and she gets taken to this enemy kingdom where she is turned into the king's personal healer. And that's really all I can say. There's enemies to lovers, clearly. Lots of tension, lots of yearning. The banter, the chemistry was everything. I loved our two main characters. Second book I didn't love as much as the first one. The second book irritated me a little bit just with our main character, like, you know, going back and forth. It felt like they were having the same conversation over and over, which was a little frustrating. But I really liked the journey our main character took in her own personal growth, and I'm really excited to see where it continues in this book, especially based on how book 2 ended. I'm gonna try to read at least a chunk of it tonight. I have another book that I'm in the middle of right now for a book club, so like I'm kind of like bouncing back and forth, and that's also a fantasy book, so I'm like bouncing back and forth between all these fantasies, and that's a lot for my brain. So it is 2 days later, I think. I'm about halfway through. I started reading it yesterday, and I just started like binge reading it, and I'm really enjoying it. It takes place like almost immediately after the second book, so based on how the second book ended, I'm really glad I did that. Not gonna explain why for spoiler reasons, but I really like where our main characters are at right now. I didn't love our main character in the second book because I felt like she was just, if you've read Fourth Wing and you've read Iron Flame, then you know, like just a lot of miscommunication, a lot of the same argument over and over. That's kind of what was happening in the second book. Like now I'm loving all of our characters instead of just the side characters, so that's really fun. I am hoping to maybe finish this today, honestly. Based on the pace I'm going at, I definitely could end up finishing this today. I do have other things I have to do, but we shall see. I'm having a good time. I have a meeting this morning that I'm going to go to, and then I'm going to pick up coffee, come back, and keep reading this bad boy. It is the next morning. I did in fact finish A Reign of Rose last night. I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was a really good end to the series, and also there are little side plots that are going to be turned into a spin-off series, so I'm really excited to get a spin-off series with some of our side characters. But I thought it was a really good conclusion to Arwen and Kane's story. Those are the two main characters in this trilogy. That's really all I have to say. I can't say much because it's the third and final book in a trilogy and I don't want to spoil people, but I think I'm landing on like a 4-star rating for this one. First one's still gonna be my favorite book out of the trilogy, and that's usually how it goes for me. I feel like in a lot of my fantasy books, if it's a trilogy or duology, usually I like the first one better. 4-star is still a great rating, and I would definitely recommend this trilogy to any romantasy lovers if you really love romantasy. This morning I have some editing I'm gonna go do at a coffee shop, and also I want to start my next book for this video. I do need to start rereading some different chapters or like the endings of the first 2 books. So I'll be starting the 3rd book in the Trial of the Sun Queen series. There's 4 books in the series. I've read the first 2. I'm gonna start the 3rd book today. I remember for the most part what happens in the first book. Second book is where I get a little fuzzy, and so I need to reread some chapters from that and just kind of refamiliarize myself with the characters in this series. That is the plan for today. Let's go get some coffee and do some editing. So it's a little bit later and I started reading the 3rd and final book for today's video, and that is Fate of the Sun King by Nisha Tooley. This is the author of Trial of the Sun Queen, which I read a few years ago, and I read the 2nd book last year, maybe. This is the 3rd book, so obviously I can't say much about it, but this whole series follows our main character, Lore. The whole series starts with her in this prison. She was taken as a child and put in this prison, and basically she ends up getting released. Like, these people come and kind of help her escape, and she gets taken to this other kingdom where she is put into these trials, and hence the title Trial of the Sun Queen. It's like 10 different women who are all fighting for the chance to be the queen. It's very similar to Powerless mixed with the Selection series. It's very addicting. The writing is very addicting. I love our main character. She is such a boss. I love reading from her perspective. Also, what I like about this series is you do get other side characters as you work your way in. So kind of like with like Throne of Glass, you get other point of views, which is really fun, and it's cool getting to see other people within this world. I didn't remember a whole lot about the 2nd book, so I did have to reread a little bit of that earlier today, but I did start reading this one and I'm a little over 100 pages in, really enjoying it. Also, I have the 4th and final book in this series as well. I will probably read after this one, but that's too much for this video, so I'm just gonna film myself reading the 3rd one and give my thoughts. But based on how I'm liking it, I most likely will finish the series even after I finish this video. All these fantasy worlds, like, I am just thriving. I'm loving jumping back in these different fantasy worlds. I will say though, once I finish this series, I need a break from fantasy. I will have read 5 fantasies in a row after I finish this series, and that's a little too much for me. I usually like to mix it up. Like, I'll read a fantasy, then read a mystery or a romance or a sci-fi, something different. Otherwise I get burnt out. Hopefully I can read another decent chunk tonight. We shall see. I'm also very sleep deprived right now. Murphy woke me up very early this morning, so I am very tired today. You know, based on my appearance, it's probably very noticeable. Lots going on at work this week, so I gotta knock out the reading early. So, whoa, sorry, my TV's right here, so that way I can get other things done. It is like a day or 2 later. I honestly don't remember the last thing I said in this video, but I am still reading Fate of the Sun King by Nisha Tooley. I am getting pretty close towards the end. I'm probably like 70% into this book. In this world, like especially in book 1 and 2, you learn a lot, or they mention the gods and goddesses and also the past rulers of these different territories a lot. The whole time, like, these characters are trying to figure out like what actually happened in the past. In this book, what I'm really enjoying, and they also did this a little bit in book 2 as well, but you're getting some of these past rulers' perspectives thrown in like randomly, and you're finally figuring out like what actually happened, and it's like slowly piecing together to create like this bigger picture, which I really enjoy. You're getting to see like a lot of how the gods and goddesses were created, what happened in these different generations of people. I think it's really interesting because there's a lot of overlap and there's a lot of different things that are like finally clicking that happened in like book 1 and 2 that I'm like, oh, now that makes sense, because now I have that backstory and I understand what was happening during that time. And this is only book 3, so I feel like we're gonna get a lot of background information in this one. Also, I'm loving the found family in these books. Also, one of the new side characters that gets their point of view introduced in this one has wings. Need I say more? There's a lot of parallels to ACOTAR within this series, I will say that. Those are some of like the generic things that I have noticed in this book. Very much enjoying it. Love the writing. I feel like the author has very addictive writing, and also I really like her characters. They don't feel two-dimensional, like they feel like they're real, and I really love our main character and her attitude. She has great personality. That's really all I have to say. I will try to give more updates at some point. My book. I finally finished Fate of the Sun King by Nisha Tooley. Overall, this was definitely the longest one so far. The 4th one is going to be even longer. This one definitely felt like we're getting a lot of background information. We're getting a lot of information on past rulers and also just the magic system, and a lot of puzzle pieces are starting to finally come together. Also ended with a bang, so I'm glad I waited to read this until the 4th book was also out, because I would not have been well. I think I'm settling on a 4-star rating with this book. I have a lot of mixed feelings. Like, I feel like overall it was a really great fantasy and I enjoyed learning about this world that we're in, but also I just wish that there was more high stakes, like more things happening with our main characters and like this found family we have. I just wish more was happening. It was still paced well. It's just there was a lot of extra stuff that we were learning at the same time. Really enjoyed this series and I'm really excited to start the 4th and final book. And that is going to be the end of today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching me finish and continue some series that I'm in the middle of. Hopefully this was entertaining for you. If it wasn't, sorry. If you didn't enjoy it, why are you still watching? That's what I want to know. I want to continue this as a series on my channel, getting to finish series that I'm in the middle of, because that's just in a never-ending process and it always feels really good to finish these series. So we're at the end of the video, so you know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, all those YouTube stuff that you guys already know how to do, and I will see you guys in my next video. Happy reading. Bye.